Now, once you have the clear vision and detail written down, it's time to imagine it and see every piece of it. So, it's not just about writing this stuff down, you've got to see it. So that's why it's called a vision, it's got a lot of detail. So I'm sure when Steve Jobs did it and like Elon Musk did it and everything, like this had a whole bunch of detail. It wasn't just something written down. So, things to work on with your vision is, like the colors, where's the office situated, like something like that might sound not important, but it really helps. And it's often scary what happens with that stuff. Like if if it's like you're driving around and you see an office and you could imagine your company in that office and these people in it and stuff, like that's really going to help build the detail of it. And it's scary how often that sort of stuff actually ends up happening. So ways to make it more detailed is like colors, locations. How do you look like when you're doing this vision, and how does it feel? Conversations with other people and what other people are saying about you. Build this mental image and just keep detailing it. And then, the last, so I've always said with your mind, it's important to like have a vision and then detail it and imagine it, but then it's always important to associate emotion to it too, because your brain doesn't know it until it's got emotion tied to it. So, feel the positive, energy, feel the positive emotions that would happen if you achieve that vision. Go through your body and it will learn that. So this is another one, so cutting negative forces. So, one of the biggest things that distracts us from achieving our goals are negative forces. And there's, things, there's people, and it's important to get rid of these things. So there were people in my shared office that, almost hated them. I'd talk about them at night and stuff and be like, I hate that guy. And, duh. And then I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why did I make money and why did I start a business to I shouldn't have to put up with that and go to work at a place where these people will make me not comfortable there, just for the sake of making the money, right? And that's when I decided, I'm going to get rid of them. And so list 3 things you hate doing and list 3 things you love doing, and then list 3 people who bring negative energy to your life, and then 3 people who bring positive energy to your life. And then, if possible, cut the negatives and pull close to the positives. Hopefully the negative isn't your partner or something. So one thing I've learned this year as well is that it's I'd take on money for like the shared office space was money, so I was like, it's good, and these people were paying money, and I wasn't happy, but because it was money, I'd just take it anyway. And it wasn't until I stopped and sort of did all of this sort of stuff that I realized what a stupid decision. It's not always about the money. If you're not happy going to work in your own office and doing things, then sacrifice the money, you know what I mean? So kicking everyone out of my shared office space cost me $5,000 a month in recurring revenue. So that's a lot of money. I'm pretty sure that's enough to buy a house in some places on a mortgage, which is a fair bit to get rid of, but that's how important I think this sort of stuff is, And, walking away from Snap Inspect, I have to give my salary to someone else so that they can work there. And, that's again money. And then there's, other things I've been doing that make money as well, but I'm kind of getting them off my plate because I see such value in focus. So, successful vision, I mean, you've got to think about it, write it down, add detail, imagine it with the associated positive emotion, and then, you know, sharing it with other people too. So I said that I'd shared it with like my parents. I told them this is what I'm going to do and got them involved, and, you know, share it with other people. It holds you accountable, kind of. It makes it more real. So I think it's really important if you share it with other people and you make sure that they're included in it too. If they're, you know, it's just not about you, it's about, you know, other people too, and they should be included in it, and it should fit with them too, you know. Your vision shouldn't, like if you've got a partner, you don't want your vision to make them unhappy, because it's not going to be a good one, right? You know, cutting activities and things or people who don't fit with it, and, you know, use it as a framework to make decisions each day. So this is like I said, I'd say this is what's going to allow me to go to the next step, is this stuff. So, you know, I'm pulling closer the people that really, like, I see value in, sort of getting rid of the people that bring me down, and getting rid of the tasks and things, and just focusing on one thing, and then having like a framework. So if some opportunity comes, like someone sends me an email, someone calls me or anything, if it doesn't fit with the vision, it's just a no. Yeah, and that's like up on the wall, and I think life would be quite simple then. Does this make sense? Q&A time. Anyone got any questions?
So what if your vision, what if what you have to do now doesn't fit with your vision? So what if your vision is like, I don't know, startups or mentoring startups or helping startups, but you're doing consulting right now? How do you mesh that?
Yeah, so that's like, you need stepping stones, you know, and consulting, like I've always said, is a great way to make cash, and it's sharpen your skills and get behind closed doors of other companies and stuff. So if you want to mentor startups, well, you need to know you need to be able to help them first of all, right? You probably need a little bit of experience and a bit of credibility. Well, you know, consulting's the perfect stepping stone to get that, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because you can't just go to doing like, you know, like if Elon Musk went out and just went and did Tesla right off the bat, I mean, yeah. He worked up too in massive jumps, which kind of freaked me out. But like, he did still work up. He said it himself. You should watch that interview when you get home. Like, I started with a small table. I see business as poker. I started with a small table, and I've cashed in my chips, and now I'm moving to a bigger one. And he's just done that again and again and again. Yeah. Any other questions?
So as you've experienced these different levels of financial success, what are things outside of business that you've invested in that's led to like big returns in terms of just fulfillment for you?
Well, I did say that I'd neglected those sorts of things, which I learned was not good. So, well, it was more like, what didn't I do with that stuff? So, like, I didn't do exercise and didn't eat healthy food, and that wasn't good. So I learned that stuff's important, because it makes it just life harder to do anything, right? You wake up in the morning, it's harder. You want to work harder, it's harder. Like, it's important to be healthy and you know, exercise. What other things? You're making sure that your vision and your plan incorporates those other things, you know, and that your goal isn't to work more. So my goal always used to be, how can I find an extra 4 hours? Now it's not. Like, it's the opposite. So it's like, I think it's important that you want to improve, but you also want to improve every area, you know? Did that answer it?
Sort of. I mean, were there big changes you made to your personal life that you feel like were good decisions as you had access to more and more money? 'Cause you
So-
mentioned, like, you know, meeting goals and buying different things, but that didn't make too much of a difference for you.
So, no, not really. I mean, I've bought the things that like I always wanted, you know, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like good, but it's nowhere near as fulfilling as the progress. Yeah.
So, to move toward your vision, you probably need people.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would be your ideal team that you would?
Yeah.
You can't just contract everything.
Yeah. So, so what would be my ideal one, or what?
Yeah,
Or is
like-
that you asking it in your situation, or?
What would be your ideal team that you build around you? Because if you want to scale things, you probably need certain skill sets.
Yeah.
That you can identify personality types that you mesh with. Just kind of hear your thought process on where you are now. What team would like to build.
So has anyone heard of Perry Marshall, the guy, marketer? Yeah. Has anyone done his DNA test? Marketing DNA test? You have? That thing's real good to see, like, what sort of a person you are. And then generally I would say the big mistake I made with hiring people, see, I made a lot of the mistakes this year. So the big mistake I made with hiring people was hiring people similar to myself. So like, they were skewed towards the right side. They were, you'll see this when you do so write it down, Perry Marshall's marketing DNA test. It's definitely worth doing. So entrepreneurs are typically the right-hand side people, and they want to innovate, create new things, you know, do that sort of stuff. And then the left-hand side is people that just want to follow process, and they're analytical and good with numbers and things like that. So, like, I hired people that were just like me, and so it was like, to hell with the metrics and like and following process, and let's just fix things that aren't even broken or even tried. You know what I mean? Like, that is probably the biggest mistake I'd say entrepreneurs make with hiring. Don't hire the first person you hire is someone the opposite to you. Like, if you're a very analytical person and that's your side, then you're a perfect combination with someone who's real out there and, like, you know what I mean? And the last thing you want is just everyone on one side. Like, if you just have a bunch of analytical people in a room, like, or if you have a bunch of the entrepreneurship guys in the room.
Or would you hire, I mean, if you have to throw titles out there, like certain developers, certain marketing, certain designers, like, what do you think?
So the first thing I reckon any entrepreneur should hire when they make money is an accountant, because, like, typically entrepreneurs are quite bad at that, and it's probably one of the actual smart things I've done was hire one. Definitely recommend that, like, because it's really important stuff. That's not really a full-time employee, but an accountant, definitely. The next person should be, it really depends on what problems you're having in the business, you know? So the first problem I had when I started doing well was the accounting, because, you know, there's a lot of money coming in and out, and it just turns wild all of a sudden. And it's like, you get into a lot of trouble if you don't keep on top of that stuff. And I remember I had to stay up for like one tax season. It took me like 10 days to bloody do. Like, I had to find all of this stuff, because there's like thousands of transactions. Just like, it was just nuts. Like, and that really sucked. That was like very painful. So you should definitely hire an accountant. Now that's a breeze, you know, have an accounting system and accountant. And then cover your weakness, I'd say. So a lot of the time I've preached in like CFC, like, if you can't do it, just do it. Like, You know, some guys are like, I just can't do these follow-up calls. I just can't do them. And I'm like, well, just man up and do it. Like, I've kind of realized now that you should give it a go, but if it's really going to be a barrier to success, you should probably try and get someone to cover that, you know? I've switched my focus from wanting to do everything to valuing others, yeah. And having a weakness is absolutely fine, because it's someone else's strength. Mm.
Or would you have like a small team of people? Like your ideal team, would it be like 10?
So I would contract as long as possible, as humanly possible. Because especially in this retainer stuff, like, the only people that are good at it are like, have their own businesses. Yeah. Like, they're not employees. And if you hire someone out of uni, like, well, that's what we call it in New Zealand, college, like, they don't know anything. Like, it's a big learning curve to teach someone how to do AdWords or SEO. And you never put, the beauty of a contractor is you never pay them unless you've made the money. So it's always cash flow positive. And I would always sacrifice margin for cash flow any day of the week. Yeah.
What about like people who are doing the follow-up calls, like your team, like people that are helping you do, like run your actual marketing operation? Would you want to, or do you contract with some of those people, or did you in the beginning, and then when did you transition to having some of those people come on as full-time?
Yeah, so I actually did that full-time myself and then hired someone to do that as a contractor, but like a full-time contractor, you know?
Do all those activities?
Yeah.
So you had
So,
someone, they made the calls, they did the market research,
yeah.
everything.
And then when we really started to look at scaling, I saw the value in splitting those roles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then were you able to contract those out to smaller
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
The more time you spend consuming content to try to stay up with everything, the less time you spend producing. How did you filter out the really important stuff that you needed to consume to stay up and talk knowledgeably with your prospects and even your existing customers, while not spending all your time reading up on blogs and things so you could actually produce something?
So my rule is it's just never, ever, ever learn within hours that you can sell. You know? So if it's in between 9 and 5 and Monday to Friday, I don't want to see anyone in my office like with a book. Like, they should be like roaring down the phone, you know, like that's selling time. And after hours is learning time. So that's always been my rule, and I actually copied it off Mark Cuban. That's something I read in his book. Yeah. He said every hour your customer is awake, you should be selling. And then when they're asleep, sharpen your sword.
What was that book?
I think he's only done one, and it's only like 50 pages. So, yeah, I think it's only available on Amazon too. Just search Mark Cuban book on Amazon.
The game of business or something?
Yeah, that's what it is. I think it's winning at the game of sales or something like that.
Any other questions?
Just one question. Since one of your major goals is a certain monetary amount, as you look at opportunities that come along, how do you balance how they would help you get closer to that goal versus not being your longer term vision? Is it a matter of the time it would require from you, I don't know if I'm phrasing the question wrong. I imagine you have a fair number of people approaching you now with opportunities. So how do you kind of gauge what's close enough to your vision versus being a little too far afield of it?
Money isn't just what it looks like, you know what I mean? If you accept some opportunity and it's $100,000, you then have to deliver on it, you know what I mean? It'd be a fun world if you didn't have to do that. Because I love selling stuff, but delivering it's a different story, like, because you've got to actually do it. And that's what I've really learned is you've got to look at the other side of it, right? So if someone comes along and they want some custom software built and it's $100,000, sure, it's money and it might help towards a goal, but like I would see the time it's going to suck away from everything, and I'd think about my time I could spend and I'd probably make more than that. You know what I mean? So with the guys in the office, I said I was giving up $5,000. But really, I think I'm profiting on that big time because they annoyed me, they filled up my head with negative thoughts, and they wanted keys cut and just things that, you know, business owners shouldn't be doing. Like, that's just stupid stuff. Yeah. And then they'd complain. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that your sweet spot is focusing on your specialized fulfillment that you built up, and then leveraging that to its full extent by selling it as much as possible.
Say it again?
So what you're saying is your new vision is to focus on the specialized fulfillment infrastructure you built, and then just sell that every hour of every day and focus on the retainers and everything, because you have the fulfillment aspect streamlined, as opposed to any other opportunity that might be larger in size, but the scalability isn't there, and there's no repeat business, and there's all sorts of seen and unforeseen obstacles in actually fulfilling it.
Yeah, so like a website deals 10 to 20 grand, right? Retainer might be only 2 grand a month, but I'd turn down the website for the retainer because you can do more of them. And that's like the mistake I've made. Like, you could build a lot of them. Yeah.
In this retainer, do you try to get all of the business, or do you also work with companies where you just do the AdWords and SEO and somebody else does some of the other stuff?
It's pretty much always more than one. Yeah, because I mean, it's just
More than one provider?
more than one product you sell.
Yeah, what I'm asking is, do you ever work with a company where you do a couple of the products and they have some that, like we have?
No, I generally say I want it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you want it all.
Yeah. But AdWords and SEO are complementary things. They go hand in hand. The person managing your AdWords should be doing your SEO.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that tomorrow, you know, like exactly how it's done and how cool it all is.
How do you keep your salespeople in-house? Like, why wouldn't they want to go on their own and just do it on their own, or even if you hire a CEO, why wouldn't you want to do it on your own instead of doing it for you?
So it's like, it's hard, you know, like, and a lot of people have got themselves into situations where they just need an income. You know, like someone who's renting or has a mortgage and has kids and stuff, like, they just need to get an income, you know, and a lot of people don't even want to be entrepreneurs, you know, that's the thing. I thought when I started out, I was like, fuck, everyone's so stupid around this world, like, but a lot of people are content not being an entrepreneur. They like their job. Like, everyone else in the world isn't wrong. It's just we want to do entrepreneurship, you know? So there's more people out there, way more people out there that want to work in a job than there are people that want to, you know, be an entrepreneur. Mm.
Yeah, brains are wired differently, so it's like, I don't know what it is, like 10% of the population is entrepreneurs, so and that's one of the things when you hire, you don't look to hire entrepreneurs because they want to fix everything. You hire people that just want to do a checklist and do the job and go home. So that's one of the things in the hiring DNA, you look into that and figure out.
Yeah, that's why any person I consider hiring now does the DNA test.
Right.
First thing, before there's even an interview, like, I want to see that. Yeah. Another one is like, another one I think is important is, you know, that they're tied into the vision too. So like your vision, they buy into that.
I think the other thing too is that they don't have the right mindset to go out and actually start a business, which is why they're working for you, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, it's the fact that this is so tough for a lot of people. It's not just some people wake up and then the world's their oyster. You know, eventually they run into things and then their brain gets programmed the wrong way. And so even if they are selling for you, it's unlikely that they just suddenly have a massive business the next day.
Yeah.
They decide to go on their own.
Yeah. Plus I have pretty brutal contracts as well.
That's true.
Yeah, they can't fulfill. Contracts are a good thing as well, non-competes.
Oh, have you made people sign those?
Yeah.
How long is the time period?
Well, that's like something that my lawyers say is like you can put any number down, but the courts will. It has to be fair. So that's what I like, because I put 10 years on it. But then they said there's like, you can put that there and he can sign it, but like if that goes to court, like they're just gonna overrule it anyway.
You can't look at basically you can't stop someone
You
from making a
can't
living.
do anti-competitive behaviour, and that's what they call it. Yeah. So it's important to have it there, and it's important to protect the customer list and things like that. And it's also important not to disclose every single cog inside your business to everyone, because they don't need to know about a whole bunch of stuff.
And that's why you hired separate people too.
Yeah, like,
To put in
because
just one guy.
focus is so powerful, and that's why what I've really noticed is, if someone's just doing something and that's all they do, like, they get really good at it. And that's why, having the process-oriented, more analytical, more, follow 1, 2, 3 checklist people and then assigning their roles. That's how you really grow a business. It's not a bunch of entrepreneurs sitting around, because it's like a circus. Yeah.
And even then, now you have the time to actually look at their specific process and maybe improve it, because you're not just so busy just with everything flying all over the place.
So December, it's going to calm down a lot, and that's when I'm going to really get to look at this. So I pretty much allocated the whole of December just to plan. Like, I want to get what I've told you guys today, like, nailed. And December's a bad sales month, so that's also why November has been so intense. Yeah.
What other professional services are worth investing in besides accountants and lawyers? What for? Like tax.
So I'd generally avoid lawyers, you don't want to go to them and be like, I need everything, because it's expensive. You don't need that much when you start.
So what is investing?
I think.
Legal Shield is good.
Legal what?
Legal Shield. It's like $40 a month. You can get any type of attorney you need. So I use it, so I have a tax attorney and attorney for anything.
Oh, cool.
So
That sounds good.
One thing I'm going to do next year, and that I wish I'd done this year, is a financial advisor. So, what do you actually do with all this money? Yeah. Probably not buy boats and things. Yeah.
I have a question about, I don't know if this is the appropriate time in the course to do that, but the challenges of working alone. I get the sense there's some people who are fine with it, like they just wake up and plan. I always got the impression that you just sort of plowed ahead alone. I'm definitely someone who works way better in a team. My day job, I have a team around me, and I'd be curious to hear either your thoughts on that or other people's thoughts on the challenges of going it alone until you have to hire people. That's something that's been a real struggle for me, and I didn't know if there was any thoughts or if this is even appropriate. I don't know if you'll cover it later, if that's.
A lot of working in a co-working space.
I have a pretty extensive day job. So,
I owned one of those and it sucked.
For you, but
Yeah, but for talking, man, everyone can hear you. You're like,
Yeah, if you're going to be on the phone, that's a problem. But if you just need to be around people to do whatever work you need to do, yeah.
has anybody partnered with anyone in this while they're doing this?
I have bad stories about that.
not the only one. Really, that's not see your fishing partner too. No partner. Just staff.
I think that partnering is like a good. If you look at all the big companies, right, and trace them back, a lot of the time it's a team.
Yeah.
Like
Dan, you and your brother partners, right? Yeah.
teams are really powerful. They're more powerful than one person. I think we know that.
you guys count.
Yeah.
How did people, the few people that have them, how did you find yourself? Was it just friends that you had in your life?
No, it was three people who were on the same mission and in the same time in their life as me.
But how did you meet them?
I met my biggest partner actually through Sam, through the Capital Consulting Group.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Mine was my roommate, so I got lucky.
Yeah.
But I know from him, there's a lot of SEOs that can't sell, and they would love to partner with someone. So you can find a lot of guys that are affiliate marketers, get really good at bringing traffic to a $5 product, and they'd be great for clients. And he was like that, so he was making a living, a bad living, but a living off affiliate traffic. And then now it's a lot easier working with clients. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, if you can sell, like there's always someone that can follow the checklist.
Where I'm more comfortable.
I know guys that can sell that, they don't know how to sell a good product. So this is a really easy product to sell. Like I was in finance before, which is much tougher along with competition. So SEO is a really easy seller now. Everybody needs it.
So this is like, I said that vision was like the big thing, and then, your goals are, the little things that you use to track and measure your progress towards the vision. So, I think your vision should, be like lifelong, like you should admit, because I think it's silly to set things so short. I think that, and that's why I think a vision's so powerful. I've only ever planned like 1 year ahead, and like, I think if you're going to do something really meaningful, you've got a bigger vision than that. And then, goals are still important to set, but they've got to align with that vision. So, I think goals are like the 1 to 5 years sort of things, and then visions are like vision is the longer thing. And then, once you have that, you can plan each day and form habits that are going to help you on your journey towards it. So, with me, my vision is I'm going to form habits around when things come to me, like they've got to meet these 3 criteria, otherwise it's no. Like saying no to things, I've got to form massive habits towards, because it's handicapped me this year. What else have I got here?
It's funny because it all starts with yes, saying yes all the time. Like it does help to say yes to stuff, right? Like for opportunities, and if you're starting out.
Yeah, so I guess, there's a mix, like, you obviously wouldn't say, like, if you didn't have any money or your first client, you can make some exceptions, I certainly did. I did things for $1,000, and I've said yes to everything up until, like, yesterday, So, like, this is more like, this is what I've learned, I think, is the right way to do it. Yeah, but I still haven't done this stuff. But this is the way I see is the best way to do it. Yeah. But if you're starting, absolutely, you don't need to say, well, this isn't going to make me $1 million, then no. Because it'll make things a little bit more difficult. So this one might take a lot of time. But this was something I heard from Warren Buffett, and it really made a lot of sense to me, and it's part of one of the reasons why I've cut so much stuff. It's that he said to someone, like, what are your, write down 20 things you want to do, and they wrote them all down, and then he said, you only get to choose 5, circle them, what are they? So I think that's what I've done, and that's why I've cut so many things, and it feels so refreshing. So I think, maybe it would be a good exercise to write down 20. It took me so long, so that's why I don't know how long it's going to take you guys. But maybe that's something for tonight then. So, or later on, just write down 20 things you want to do, and then just circle the main 5. And this sort of philosophy, I've started getting obsessed with 80-20, and this is all this sort of stuff. And it happened with selling retainers. I looked at the money, and I looked at where it was coming from. It was retainers. Looked at the segment of the market, and just started applying it to everything. I even looked at happiness, and like, not everything you do has an equal result on like how good you feel. So I started stopping doing some activities and stuff, and doing more of the things that really refreshed me. And so you can really apply it to anything, and I think it's important if you write down like 20 things and then just circle 5, and then just make that your focus. So it takes quite a long time, so I'll let you guys do that later. Now, then, the next thing I did was figure out how you can fit those major 5 things into the day. And I find it quite empowering if you do this, because it's like you've got your long-term vision, you know where you want to go. Like you've set some goals. And there's one of these sheets in the thing, by the way, one of these actual things. And then it's like you've applied so much focus. You've got a vision, you've got your goals, you selected 20, then you only chose 5. Now you've figured out how you're going to get those 5 into each day. Because that's stepping towards that vision, and that's stepping towards those most important goals. Like, that's the best thing you can be doing each day. So, yeah, that'll take a while for you to do. So, some stuff to do tonight. And then, forming habits around around those things. So, you've got the vision, then the goals. You've applied 80-20 to the goals. Now you've put them into your day. But beyond that, how do you turn doing those things each day into a habit? What time? What's the trigger? And then the way habits are formed is with 3 things: a trigger, an action, and a reward. So, like, it might be 8 a.m. in the morning. That's your time to send lumpy mail. The trigger might be an alarm. Then doing lumpy mail is the action. Then the reward is something like a treat you give yourself afterwards. So if you've got these 5 things you need to do each day, then what are going to be the triggers, the actions, and the rewards to make sure that you build habits and make doing these things, a habit every single day. And then, yeah. I really did cram a lot into this one day. So the
having the same schedule every day, or?
No, so I say that loosely, like, just make sure that they're all fit in enough. Like, so, they're maybe per week or something. Like, it's important to have them in there. Yeah. And at specific times. And then it's important to turn them into habits, because that's how you start doing them. Yeah.
So do you have an example with sending lumpy mail or making calls?
So when I used to send lumpy mail, it was first thing in the morning, and that was the first thing I did before I checked email and everything. And then the reward was going to get a coffee at my favourite cafe. That was my old habit when I used to do lumpy mail. Yeah.
And follow-up and stuff like that?
I think follow-up I had scheduled in immediately after sending lumpy mail.
Before the coffee?
No, after the coffee.
So you'd always prioritize marketing in the morning and then fulfillment?
Revenue-generating activities always should go first. Yeah. Big things first, otherwise you just procrastinate. So, like, if I have a good, one way to pretty much guarantee I have a good day is to go into the office and write down all the things I need to do, and then just circle just 2 things, and then just do them. The worst thing you can do is just 5 minutes of each one. Yeah. And also turning stuff off is like phones and things seems to work quite well. Yeah, sometimes in my office I even escape. So I go somewhere unknown and turn off all my stuff, and people don't know where I am to get things done. Like, it works well. That happened a lot. That pretty much happened for the whole of November. So any questions? So that's pretty much we'll wrap it up first. So, write down next to these things, because you should have a yes for all of these things, because these are the things we've covered today. So you do understand how your mind works. So I told you that the car crash incident, it's perception and reality. So that should be a yes. You should know how it works. You should have a process to get into state at your own will. So that's whether it's the smell, looking at something, the music, you should have a process to get into your state. And then you should also have a process to get out of a rut, because they're inevitable, and you should have something that you know what to do. So you're in a rut, you go to the gym, fixed. And then do you know your limiting beliefs and understand them, and understand that they're not true. So like money, the world happens to me, these different things. And do you have a plan to lift your standards higher? So it was hard for me to explain that one, but I think you got what I mean. So, lift up your income standards, lift, every standard you've got. Associate your current situation to ultimate pain, and what you're working towards ultimate pleasure. And do you have a clear vision for the future that empowers you, so like lifelong sort of thing? Then broken down, like choose 20 goals, circle the top 5, and then schedule the actions to achieve these goals into your day or into your week, so you can, and then have a process to form habits around these things. And then, there really is no reason why you can't have all that you want in life. So you should have a yes to all of those things if I've done my job properly. And then if you do, then you have to make a personal declaration to yourself. So I know it was kind of sick how much I talked about making $1 million, but I'm still going to stick with it as a good monetary target for you to make.
So when you say millionaire, how are you defining a millionaire?
Like making 7 figures annually in sales.
Your
Yeah.
business is doing
Yes.
7 figures.
Yes.
What do you think, when do you think this can happen? When you said that you go, like you said, you picked up from 0.
If you're starting from 0, are you going to go into this full time, or is it? So I think it can be done. I think, if anyone dives into this properly, this can be achieved within 3 years, definitely. I think if you really go hard, it's 2 years you can do it. Yeah.
Why couldn't you do it in 1 year? I mean, you made 4 sales a month at $2,500. You're up at 6 figures by the end of the year, right?
So there is no reason. I just didn't want to say a number 2. Like, you should know, like, set something for yourself. Like, there's no reason why you couldn't do this. Shit, Elon Musk could probably make a phone call after this. And, like, everyone's different, so. But I don't think it should be longer than 3. Because it really is possible, and there's no reason why you can't. And then sign it and date it. And then I think you should share this with like somebody important to you. Right now you can just text a friend or something. It's what I always do. I always share things that holds me accountable. And then keep this workbook, and hang on to it, because if we've completed everything in this, I've read probably like 20 books on mindset and done this stuff for like 3 years now, and that's pretty much all I know about it. And if you follow all of those things, like that's like an amazing vision, and like it's a good way to get yourself out of ruts and build empowering beliefs and things like that. So that's the wrap for today.